Hello everyone, I'm Insia Dahod. My presentation is on sensory modulation disorder. I'm going to tell you about the definition and etiology of sensory modulation disorder, or SMD. To begin with, according to the Star Institute, sensory modulation disorder refers to the difficulty in responding and regulating to sensory input. A child with this disorder can be under-responsive or over-responsive to sensory stimuli and has a brain dysfunction with difficulty in processing and modulating sensory input. Additionally, the cause of the disorder is often subtle and unknown, but may be related to genetics. There are also thoughts that birth complications or the environment may play a role in children who have sensory modulation disorder. To continue, sensory modulation disorder, or SMD, is not part of the DSM-5, which means that there is no single definition that refers to this disorder. There are several definitions, however, that people work from. According to the CDC, while sensory modulation is commonly used by OTs, especially those who specialize in sensory integration, it is not technically a medical diagnosis. Sensory modulation difficulties are commonly seen in autistic children and children with other diagnoses. There are three types of sensory modulation disorder, or SMD: sensory overresponse, sensory underresponsive, and sensory craving. Children with sensory overresponsiveness, who are termed sensory defensive because they overreact, tend to feel experiences intensely and have fight or flight responses. Children with sensory underresponsiveness ignore the sensory input in the environment and likely appear disengaged and withdrawn. Finally, children with sensory craving are often overly active and they really seek that sensory input through touch and movement. Children in the third group could lack awareness of other people's space and boundaries. Functional implications will be the next slide of the SMD. Children who have sensory modulation disorder frequently have emotional, educational, and social challenges. For instance, if a child is craving vestibular input or is sensitive to tactile, which is touch input, they may have a challenging time staying seated in a classroom setting. Often, this would cause the child to get into trouble with the teacher, disrupting their learning experience as well as their classmates' learning experience as well. This example comes from the Star Institute website. Also, down the road, sensory modulation disorder may persist into adulthood without treatment. Without that treatment, adults who have SMD may have difficulty in handling marriage responsibilities, work, and social lives. Moving on to development. Early in the perinatal period, SMD may present as poor eye contact, aversion to being cuddled, or hypersensitivity to tactile and auditory input. Additionally, developmental milestones such as sucking and chewing may be delayed. Also, SMD may negatively impact motor planning, thus limiting the child's drive to explore their environment. Continuing with development at the preschool stage of development, SMD may make it challenging for the child to learn basic ADL such as dressing, toileting, etc. For example, a child with SMD might be intolerant of clothing textures. SMD may impact attention, posture, at desk, etc. To wrap up, it is imperative that OTAs address a child's sensory-based needs before assuming a child is suffering from behavioral issues. Children exhibiting behavioral issues are more likely to have sensory processing difficulties. OTAs must consider how sensory modulation disorder might impact a child's play skills and ability to navigate their environment. Potential challenges for children with SMD include team sports and academic tasks in the classroom setting, whereas challenges for adults might include relationship building, maintaining that relationship, and social gatherings. Now, this is the end of the presentation. Hope everyone enjoyed. my PowerPoint. Thank you.